Welcome to 21st Sports. Football is back and so are we, and we are talking the Cleveland Browns at the Philadelphia Eagles in their Week 1 matchup played September 11th, 2016. These two teams played their first game of the season respectively. Of course, the season opener was Thursday, but here on Sunday, these two teams playing their first game of this 2016 season. And we saw a lot of changes on both teams. There's a lot of new faces and people in different places, but Carson Wentz, the rookie from North Dakota State, making his debut. He was the third stringer just over a week ago, but then of course Sam Bradford, that trade, ended up pushing up Wentz up the depth chart, and he ended up starting this game, and he looked really good as he was playing pretty much mistake-free, and he outplayed Robert Griffin III. But let's look at the scoring summary in this game. Jordan Matthews getting in the end zone off of a 19-yard touchdown pass from Carson Wentz as Wentz throws his first touchdown of his career to give the Eagles their first lead of the season and the first points of this game. Caleb Sturgis would add 3 points in the second quarter with a 22-yard field goal to push the lead to 10-0. But then the Browns finally got on the board when Isaiah Crowell punched it in from 2 yards out as he swept around to the left side, and it was now a 3-point game, 10-7. But the Eagles still in the lead. They would extend their lead to 6 before halftime with less than half a minute left before the intermission as Caleb Sturgis hit a 38-yard field goal to make it 13-7 at the half. So then in the third quarter, Patrick Murray would hit a 35-yard field goal for Cleveland just over a minute in to the second half to make it a 3-point game, 13-3, with the Eagles still in the lead. But then a mishap would happen moments later, just a couple minutes later. Snap going over RG3's head and into the back of the end zone for a safety. And now it was a 5-point lead for the Eagles, 15-10. They would get the ball back, and Carson Wentz would end up hitting Nelson Aguilar for a 35-yard touchdown, his second touchdown pass of the game and of his young career, as this is his first game starting in the NFL. And it was now 22-10 as the Eagles gave themselves some comfort room heading into the fourth quarter. And then with just over a minute left in the game, Ryan Matthews punched it in, a 1-yard touchdown to really seal the deal and close things out with the final score, Philadelphia 29, Cleveland 10, as the Eagles run away with it in the second half and what had been somewhat of a tight game. But Carson Wentz getting his first victory under center in his first game in the NFL, and he was 22 for 37, 278 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Ryan Matthews looking good on the ground for the Eagles, 22 carries, 77 yards, including that late touchdown. And then Jordan Matthews, coming up big on the receiving end for the Eagles, 7 catches, 114 receiving yards, and a touchdown. Zach Ertz, 6 catches for 58 yards, and Nelson Aguilar, 4 catches for 57 yards, including a touchdown. And for Cleveland, Robert Griffin III, just 12 for 26, 190 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. He did have 37 yards rushing off of 5 carries as well. Isaiah Crowell had 12 carries for 62 yards and a touchdown. They should have gave him the rock a little bit more. And then we look at the receiving yards. Coleman was the leading receiver for Cleveland with 2 catches for 69 yards, and Pryor had 3 catches for 68 yards in this game. And for the defense, Kirksey and Nesbitt had sacks for the Browns. And for the Eagles, Fletcher Cox had a sack, McLeod had an interception, Connor Barwin had a sack, and Graham had a sack as well. We look at first downs in this game, 23 first downs for the Eagles, just 14 first downs for the Browns. On third down, the Eagles were 5 for 15, 33% conversion rates. Not great, but their defense, though, shut down the Browns on third down. The Browns were just 2 for 10, just 20%. The Browns went for it twice on fourth, and did not convert either time, whereas the Eagles went for it once on fourth, and they did convert for 100%. So 100% versus 0 on fourth downs. Is the Eagles' defense coming up big time on third and fourth down. And then we look at the total net yards, 403 for Philadelphia, 288 for Cleveland. And on the ground, the Eagles netting 133 yards and the Browns netting 120, although the Browns actually averaged 5.7 yards per rushing play. And you got to wonder, why didn't they rush the ball more? And then we look at the Eagles, they netted 3.9 yards per rushing play. And we look at the passing, the Philadelphia Eagles netting 270 through the air as they allowed 2 sacks for 8 yards lost. And then the Browns netting just 168 yards as they allowed 3 sacks for 22 yards lost. And we look at the penalties in this game, 4 penalties for Cleveland for just 15 yards, but that wouldn't even matter. Although the Eagles 7 penalties for 46 yards. Both teams had 2 fumbles, but they were able to recover their own fumbles, other than the one that, I don't know if that counts as a fumble, the safety that went over RG3's head into the back of the end zone there on that mishap on the snap, which was, you would imagine, the center's fault, but a little miscommunication on both ends of the quarterback and the center. But we look at the red zone efficiency, both teams 50%, the Eagles 2 for 4, the Browns 1 for 2. But the time of possession, the Eagles dominated the time of possession, 39 minutes, 20 seconds to just 20 minutes and 40 seconds as the Eagles had the ball 2/3 of this game. And if you have the ball that much, well, you're going to win 9 times out of 10. So very dominant performance by the Eagles and Carson Wentz debut under center. Of course, it is against the Browns, so I don't know how much stock you put in that. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. What plays and performances stuck out to you? Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and having a great weekend and enjoying all the sports.